In the heart of the Gulf, the crescent moon typically signals a time of joy, community, and celebration. But this year, as the 2026 Eid-ul-Fitr arrives, the festive lights of the GCC are flickering under the shadow of the most dangerous military escalation in a generation. This Eid, the skies are not lit by celebratory sparkles, but by missiles and drones. Across the Gulf, as families prepared for their annual biggest festivities, air defense systems were lighting up the night sky, stopping drones and missiles midair. This is Eid 2026, celebrations dulled by gloom and fear. The big question in everyone's heart is there a room for hope amid all this chaos and fire? Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, and other nations in the region, the Gulf is witnessing one of the most intense security crises in decades. So, what's happening? Saudi Arabia's Ministry of Defense has intercepted nearly 24 drones in a single night. UAE's Ministry of Defense has activated air defense and urged citizens to stay indoors. Bahrain's government reported shrapnel falling on civilian infrastructure. And in Kuwait, armed forces confirmed explosions linked to missile interceptions. And its impact? Kuwait's Interior Ministry has banned large-scale events and the use of outdoor speakers. The UAE has restricted and scaled back outdoor communal prayers. Reuters reported large explosions from Iranian missiles and drones attacks continued in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And above all, an Israeli move to shut Al-Aqsa Mosque during Ramadan pained GCC nation condemned the denial of prayers at Islam's third holiest site. This is a never-before war in a region where almost every nation has been dragged in. The world is spending an estimated $1 billion a day on this war, which could save and transform millions of lives if spent on aid rather than bombs. This is what a humanitarian agency, Islamic Relief, highlighted while urging for a truce. They further say, in Lebanon, people are spending Eid sleeping on the streets, as there is nowhere safe to go to escape the bombing. In Gaza, critically ill children and cancer patients are prevented from accessing treatment as crossings are shut. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz is choking global food and fuel supply, worsening the famine in Sudan and the drought in Somalia, and hurting poor families of Europe. The war is not just destroying cities, it is shaking the global economy. Qatar Gas CEO reported losses worth $20 billion after Iran struck Ras Laffan LNG hub. Over 49,000 flights have been cancelled across the GCC since the conflict began and has severely impacted international aviation. Key hubs like Dubai, Doha, and Bahrain have seen their jugular trade routes severed by the airspace closure. In Jordan, the iconic site of Petra reports a 100% cancellation rate for March. Data from the World Travel and Tourism Council reveal that the regional travel industry is hemorrhaging $600 million every day. Brent crude prices have surged past $120 a barrel, threatening to derail global inflation targets. India's trade in fertilizer and diamond, which account for nearly half of all imports, is facing a supply chain collapse. The impact cannot be calculated as of now. India, home to a 9.6 million strong diaspora in the Gulf, is bracing for a double blow. Remittances from the Gulf form a critical lifeline. The UAE and Saudi Arabia alone account for a significant share of India's $118+ billion annual inflows. Analysts warn that a prolonged conflict could cut flows by 10 to 20%, amounting to a $5 to $10 billion annual loss and hitting states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar the hardest. In Pakistan and Bangladesh too, the fear is remittances, the lifeblood of their economies. Analysts warn of a 15% drop in remittance inflows for Pakistan, a potential $3 billion shortfall. The Strait of Hormuz is paralyzed. Iran's hard stand to choke the strait has led to stranding of oil flows at the rate of 15 million barrels per day. An equally large volume of LNG export, plus 30% of the global fertilizer export, has been affected. Tanker traffic has dropped by roughly 70%. India, which imports 50% of its crude from the Gulf, faces a massive trade deficit spike, risking higher inflation rates. Prolonged closure could lead to a global GDP loss of 2%. These global effects have a direct impact on human lives. millions face a festival of Eid in fear and grief due to escalating conflict. GCC nations, some of whom didn't even have their own standing armies, have felt the pressure to ensure security of their nations. Now they see no option but to threaten retaliation. It remains to be seen how these things lie in future. But for now, celebratory days have become days of gloom. As the call for prayer echoes this Eid, it is met not with sound of celebration, but with an anxious silence. For the millions living in and dependent on West Asia, the hope for this holiday is no longer just for prosperity, but for a ceasefire that remains stubbornly out of reach.